So I decided to do this because I looked in the mirror and I got my dirty hair with, and in the mirror without glasses. And the thanks. I put the glasses on. I was wrong. I was wrong. Chapter 26. We're looking at boys and girls. New Roman numerals. This time, as before, the king's last command to the general was this: see to it that you do nothing without the sanction of the maid. And this time, the command was obeyed and would continue to be obeyed all through the coming great days of the Loire campaign. That was a change. That was new. It broke the tradition. It shows you what sort of reputation as a commander in chief the child had made for herself in 10 days in the field. It was a conquering of men's doubts and suspicions and a capturing and solidifying of men's belief and confidence, such as Gray's the Grand Staff had not been able to achieve in 30 years. Don't you remember that when at 16 Joan conducted her own case in a grim court of law and won it? The old judge spoke of her as this marvelous child. It was the right name, you see. These veterans were not going to branch out and do things without the sanction of the maid. That is true, and it was a great game. But at the same time, there were some among them who still trembled at her new and dashing war tactics and earnestly desired to modify them. And so, during the 10th, while Joan was slaving away at her plans and issuing order after order with tireless industry, the old-time consolations and arguings and speechifying were going on among certain of the general. In the afternoon of that day, they came in a body to hold one of these councils of war, and while they waited for Joan to join them, they discussed the situation. Now, this discussion is not set down in the histories, but I was there, and I will speak of it. As knowing you will trust me, I am not for being given to beguiling you with lies. I am not given to beguiling you with lies. Gautier de Brusac was spokesman for the timid ones. Joan's side was resolutely upheld by d'Alençon, the bastard La Hire, the Admiral of France, the Marshal de Brusac, and all other really important chiefs. De Brusac argued that the situation was very grave, that Jargeau, the first point of attack, was formidably strong, its imposing walls bristling with artillery, with 7,000 picked English veterans behind them, and at their head the great Earl of Suffolk and his two redoubtable brothers, the de la Poles. It seemed to him that the proposal of Joan of Arc, to try to take such a place by storm was a most rash and over-daring idea, and she ought to be persuaded to relinquish it in favor of the soberer and safer procedure of investment by regular siege. It seemed to him that the fiery and furious new fashion, hurling masses of men against impregnable walls of stone in defiance of the establishment laws and usages of war was, but he got no further. La Hire gave his plumed helm an impatient toss and burst out with, by God, she knows her trade, and none can teach it her. And before he could get out anything more, D'Alençon was on his feet, and the Bastard Royal and half a dozen others, all thundering at once, and pouring out their indignant displeasure upon any and all that might hold, secretly or publicly, distrust of the wisdom of the commander in chief. And when they had said their say, La Hire took a chance again and said, there are some that never know how to change. Circumstances may change, but those people are never able to see that they have got to change too, to meet these circumstances. All that they know is the one beaten track that their fathers and grandfathers have followed, and that they themselves have followed in their turn. If an earthquake come and rip the land to chaos, and that beaten track now lead over precipices and into morasses, morasses. Those people can't learn that they must strike out a new road. No, they will march stupidly along and follow the old one to death and perdition. Men, there's a new state of things, and a surpassing military genius has perceived it with her clear eye, and a new road is required, and that same clear eye has noted where it must go and has marked it out for us. The man does not live, never has lived, never will live, that can improve upon it. The old state of things was defeat, 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 and by consequence we had troops with no dash, no heart, no hope. Would you assault stone walls with such? No. There's but one way with that kind. Sit down before a place and wait. Carve it out if you could. The new men of dash and vim and fury and energy, a restrained conflagration. What could you do with it? Hold it down and let it storm, and still storm, 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 and forever storm, storm, storm. Hunt the enemy to his hole, then turn her French hurricanes loose and carry him by storm. And that is my sort. Jago with it is sealed. Oh, he can't Joan to change her tack. They sat talking comfortably enough after that. By and by, Joan entered and they rose and saluted with their swords. And she asked what their pleasure might be. Maher said, "It is settled, my general. The matter concerns Jargon." These were some who thought we could not take the place. Joan laughed her pleasant laugh, her merry, carefree laugh, the laugh that rippled so buoyantly from her lips and made old people feel young again. And she said to the company, "Have no fears. Indeed, there is no need nor any occasion for them. We will strike the English boldly. By a sign you will see." Then a faraway look came into her eyes, and I think that a picture of her home was the vision of her mind, for she said very gently and as one who muses, "But then I know God guides us and will give us success. I had liefer keep sheep than endure these perils." Liefer, lifer, leper, look it up. We had a home-like farewell supper, us, the personal staff, and the family. Joan had to miss it. The city had given a banquet in her honor, and she had gone there in state with the grand staff through a riot of joy bells and a sparkling Milky Way of illuminations. After supper, some lively young folk whom we knew presently forgot that we were soldiers and only remembered that we were boys and girls and full of animal spirits and long pent fun. And so there was dancing and games and romps and screams of laughter, just as extravagant and innocent and noisy a good time as ever I had had in life. Dear, dear, how long ago it was, and I was young then. And outside all the while was the measured tramp of marching battalions, belated odds and ends of the French power gathering for the morrow's war. Yes, in those days we had those contrasts side by side. And as I passed along to bed, there was another one. The big dwarf in brave new armor sat sentry at Joan's door. The stern spirit of war made flesh, as it were, and on his ample shoulder was curled a kitten asleep. Oh, that's a sweet picture. Okay. Was it Chubbs?